What's up, everybody? This is your boy Saeed. Welcome to my channel once again. I hope everybody is doing well. Well, today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that have really changed my life for good. You know, I'm a very voracious reader. I read a lot, and a certain percentage of my income goes into buying books. I read it, and I have a bunch of books that I read. And this has helped me in so many ways, and I'm so grateful for the fact that I developed a very good reading habit. So, without wasting much of your time, today I'm going to talking about some books that have really changed my life for good. And trust me, by the time you finish watching this video, if you are able to go and grab one of these books, even if you are not able to get all of them, just grab a copy of some of them and start reading. And I promise you, before the end of this year, your life is going to be your life is going to turn around positively. So let me talk about one of the books that I really love and I enjoy reading it. The name of the book is Mastery, and it was written by Robert Greene. And Robert Greene is one of the best-selling authors, New York best-selling authors right now, and he has written so many books. Before I go on, apart from this book, Mastery, Robert Greene has written uh, Power, Seduction, War, and the 50th Law. This one he wrote it with the popular American rapper 50 Cent. His real name is Curtis Jackson. So these are some of the books that Robert Greene has written. So today I'm going to be talking about Mastery. This book, Mastery. This book is a gem. There are lots of information in this book, and I always read it every year. I make sure I read it 2 or 3 times every year. Why? Because it's a very, very powerful book. And whatever field you are in, be a businessman, an entrepreneur, or you work for somebody, if you read this book, Mastery, it will change your life for good. Trust me. Okay, now, before I continue, I would like to talk about the content of this book. I can't just talk about the book without telling you what is inside. So I'm going to talk about the table of contents, meaning the topics that Robert Greene talked about in his book. And trust me, there are lots of information in this book, man. If you are able to get a copy of this book and read it before the end of this year, man, I bet you your life is going to turn around for good. So let's continue. The first page is the introduction. In the introduction, he talks about so many things in his life, and he dedicated this book to some of the good people in his life. Now, after that, there's the ultimate power. The ultimate power, the evolution of mastery, keys to mastery, and discover your calling, the life's task, the hidden force, keys to mastery, strategies for finding your life's task, submit to reality, the ideal apprenticeship, keys to mastery, the first transformation, keys to mastery, strategies for completing the ideal apprenticeship, absorb the master's power, the mental dynamic, the alchemy of knowledge, keys to mastery, strategies for deepening the mental relationship, reversal, see people as they are, social intelligence, thinking inside, keys to mastery, strategies for acquiring social intelligence, awakening the dimensional mind, the creative active, the second transformation, keys to mastery, cumulative negative capability, allow for serendipity, alternate the mind through the current, alter your perspective, looking at the what instead of the how, rushing to generalities and ignoring details, confirming paradigms and ignoring anomalies, fixating on what is present, ignoring what is absent, revert to primal forms of intelligence, strategies for the creative phase, reversal, fuse the intuitive with the rational. Mastery. The third transformation, keys to mastery. Strategies for attaining mastery. Reversal, contemporary master biographies, acknowledgement, selected bibliography, index. So basically, this is all what is contained in the contents of this book. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pick one particular topic and read some very, very interesting text for you. Listen very carefully. Trust me, by the time you finish watching this video, man, you will pump up to get a copy of this book. So let me quickly pick a topic for you and read it out for you so that you know what I'm talking about. Excuse me, it's very hot in here, man. Okay, so awakening the dimensional mind, the creative active. No, I'm not going to talk about that one. There's one particular topic that I really, really, really want you to listen to very carefully, and it will motivate you to get a copy of this book, Mastery. It will be like just talking to the author face to face. And one thing that I also love about this book is the fact that his writing is so simple. He doesn't use big words. You don't need to, stop reading and look for the meaning of certain words. It's very simple. His sentences are very simple and easy to understand. That's one of the things that I love about this book, Mastery. And apart from Mastery, that's how he writes all his books. And I think he's a very, very smart, very, very smart uh, move. Now, let me read the introduction because the introduction summarizes the whole picture of this book, Mastery. Now, the ultimate power, and this is a quote that he grabbed from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, and this is one of um, the most intelligent people that he talked about in his book. And listen, this quote is very, very powerful. Listen very carefully. Everyone holds his fortune in his own hands, like a sculptor. The raw material he will fashion into a figure. But it's the same with that type of artistic activity as with all others. We are merely born with the capability to do it. The skill to mold the material into what we want must be learned and attentively cultivated. One thing, another very interesting thing that I learned in this book is the fact that some people are born intelligent. Some people work their way into acquiring intelligence. And another interesting thing is that those who were born with the intelligence also worked on their intelligence. They did not sleep on it. Even though they realize that they are very intelligent and they have a special gift, they made sure that they worked on the gift that God gave them. So not like other people in today's world, they know they are gifted in certain things, and instead of working it to become better at that, no, they just relax. So now let's continue. There exists a form of power and intelligence that represent the high point of human potential. It is the source of the greatest achievements and discoveries in history. It is an intelligence that is not taught in our schools nor analyzed by professors, but almost all of us at some point have had glimpses of it in our own experience. I know you guys are beginning to grab what I'm talking about. It often comes to us in a period of tension, facing a deadline, the urgent need to solve a problem, a crisis of sorts, or it can come as the result of constant work on a project. In any event, pressed by circumstances, we feel unusually energized and focused. Our minds become completely absorbed in the tasks before us. This intense concentration sparks all kinds of ideas. They come to us as we fall asleep out of nowhere, as if springing from our unconscious. At these times, other people seem less resistant to our influence. Perhaps we are more attentive to them, or we appear to have a special power that inspires their respect. We might normally experience life in a passive mode, constantly reacting to it or that incident. But for these days or weeks, we feel like we can determine events and make things happen. Very, very interesting. Excuse me, but that's not all. Listen very carefully. You are going to learn a lot from this book. Trust me. Get ready now, get your credit card, and go to Amazon.com. Just type mastery or Robert Greene and get yourself a copy. We could, let's continue. We could express this power in the following way. Most of the time, we live in an interior world of dreams, desires, and obsessive thoughts. But in this period of exceptional creativity, we are impelled by the need to get something done that has a practical effect. We force ourselves to step outside our inner chamber of habitual thoughts and connect to the world, to other people, to reality. Instead of instead of flitting here and there in a state of perpetual distraction, our minds focus and penetrate to the core of something real. At this moment, it is as if our minds, turned outward, are now flooded with light from the world around us and suddenly exposed to new details and ideas. We become more inspired and creative. Are you beginning to, 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 to grab the ideas that I'm talking about in this book? Once the deadline has passed or the crisis is over, this feeling of power and heightened creativity generally fades away. We return to our distracted state and the sense of control is gone. If only we could manufacture this feeling or somehow keep it alive longer, but it seems so mysterious and elusive. Let me tell you an interesting story about this book. The first time I tried, I decided to take a look at this book before I read it. It was one night I was just about to sleep after my family went to bed. I put my kids to bed after eating the special food that my beautiful wife cooked for me. So I jumped on my bed and grabbed this book, and I just decided to glance through the contents. And as I started reading, all of a sudden I got to the introduction. And as I was reading, believe me, that night I spent 2 good hours reading the book without putting it down. If I wasn't feeling sleepy, I would have read the whole book that very night. So the point is, as soon as you start reading book, you will not like to put it down until you finish it. Why? Because it's very interesting. All the stories that he used in this book are very easy to relate with. So let's continue. The problem we face is that this form of power and intelligence is either ignored as a subject of study or is surrounded by all kinds of myths and misconceptions, all of which only add to the mystery. We imagine that creativity and brilliance just appear out of nowhere, the fruit of natural talent, or perhaps of a good mood or an alignment of the stars. It will be an immense help to clear up the mystery, to name this feeling of power, to examine its roots, to define the kind of intelligence that leads to it, and to understand how it can be manufactured and maintained. Let us call this sensation mastery. The feeling that we have a greater command of reality, other people, and ourselves, although it might be something we experience for only a short while. For others, masters of their field, it becomes their way of life, their way of seeing the world. Such masters include Leonardo da Vinci, Napoleon Bonaparte, Charles Darwin, Thomas Edison, and Martha Graham, among many others. And at the root of this power is a simple process that leads to mastery, one that is accessible to all of us. Isn't this interesting? If you really, really want to discover the gift that God gave you in this world, the gift that will help you excel in anything that you do in your life, the gift that will help you acquire the fortune, or the gift that will help you realize your dreams. Trust me, if you read this book, Mastery, it will help you a lot. Now, let's continue. The process can be illustrated in the following manner. Let us say we are learning the piano or entering a new job where we must acquire certain skills. In the beginning, we are outsiders. Our initial impression of the piano or the work environment are based on prejudgments and often contain an element of fear. When we first study the piano, the keyboard looks rather intimidating. We don't understand the relationships between the keys, the chords, the pedals, and everything else that goes into creating music. In a new job situation, we are ignorant of the power relationships between people, the psychology of our boss, the rules and procedures that are considered critical for success. We are confused. The knowledge we need in both cases is over our heads. Interesting. Interesting anecdotes here. Although we might enter these situations with excitement about what we can learn or do with our new skills, we quickly realize how much hard work there is ahead of us. The great danger in that is that we give into feelings of boredom, impatience, fear, and confusion. We stop observing and learning. The process comes to a halt. If, on the other hand, we manage these emotions and allow time to take its course, something remarkable begins to take shape. As we continue to observe and follow the lead of others, we gain clarity, learning the rules and seeing how things work and fit together. If we keep practicing, we gain fluency. Basic skills are mastered, allowing us to take on newer and more exciting challenges. We begin to see connections that were invisible to us before. We slowly gain confidence in our ability to solve problems or overcome weaknesses through sheer persistence. At a certain point, we move from student to practitioner. We try our own ideas, gaining valuable feedback in the process. We use expanding knowledge in ways that are increasingly creative. Instead of just learning how others do things, we bring our own style and individuality into play. Wow, I love this. As years go by and we remain faithful to this process, yet another leap takes place to mastery. The keyboard is no longer something outside of us, it is internalized and becomes part of our nervous system, our fingertips. In our career, we now have a feel for the group dynamic, the current state of business. We can apply this feel to social situations, seeing deeper into other people and anticipating their reactions. We can make decisions that are rapid and highly creative. Ideas come to us. We have learned the rules so well that we can now be the ones to break or rewrite them. I love this anecdote, man. In the process leading to this ultimate form of power, we can identify three distinct phases or levels. The first is the apprenticeship, the second is the creative active, the third, mastery. In the first phase, we stand on the outside of our field, learning as much as we can of the basic elements and rules. We have only a partial picture of the field, and so our powers are limited. In the second phase, through much practice and immersion, we see into the inside of the machinery, how things connect with one another, and thus gain a more comprehensive understanding of the subject. With this comes a new power, the ability to experiment and creatively play with the elements involved. In the third phase, our degree of knowledge, experience, and focus is so deep that we can now see the whole picture with complete clarity. We have access to heart of life, to human nature, natural phenomena. That is why the art of masters touches us to the core. The artist has captured something of the essence of reality. That is why the brilliant scientist can uncover a new law of physics, and the inventor or entrepreneur can hit something no one else has imagined. We can call this power intuition, but intuition is nothing more than a sudden and immediate season of what is real without the need for words or formulas. The words and formulas may come later, but this flash of intuition is what ultimately brings us closer to reality. As our minds suddenly become illuminated by some particle of truth previously hidden to us and to others. Wow, this is a gem, man. Get this book now. Viewers, get this book. You will never regret it. Now, let's continue. We are almost getting to the end. An animal has the capacity to learn, but it largely relies on its instincts to connect to its surroundings and save itself from danger. Through instinct, it can quickly and it can act quickly and effectively. The human relies instead on thinking and rationality to understand its environment. But such thinking can be slow, and in its slowness can become ineffective. So much of our obsessive internal thought process tends to disconnect us from the world. Intuitive powers at the mastery level are a mix of the instinctive and the rational, the conscious and the unconscious, the human and the animal. It is our way of making sudden and powerful connections to the environment, to feeling or thinking inside things. As children, we have some of this intuitive power and spontaneity, but it is generally drowned out of us by all of the information that overloads our minds over time. This is true. I agree with that. Masters return to this childlike state, their works displaying degrees of spontaneity and access to the unconscious, but at a much higher level than the child. If we move through the process to this endpoint, we activate the intuitive power latent in every human brain, one that we may have briefly experienced when we worked so deeply on a single problem or project. In fact, often in life, we have glimpses of this power. For instance, when we have an inkling of what will come next in a particular situation, when the perfect answer to a problem comes to us out of nowhere. But these moments are ephemeral and not based on enough experience to make them repeatable. When we reach mastery, this intuition is a power at our command, the fruit of working through the lengthier process. And because the world prizes activity and this ability to uncover new aspects of reality, it brings us tremendous practical power as well. Wow, this is powerful. This is powerful, man. I'm almost getting to the end of the introduction, and by the time I finish, you are likely going to switch off this video and go grab yourself a copy of the book Mastery, written by Robert Greene, one of the best-selling authors in New York right now. Think of mastery in this way. Throughout history, men and women have felt trapped by the limitations of their consciousness, by their lack of contact with reality and the power to affect the world around them. They have sought all kinds of shortcuts to this expanded consciousness and sense of control in the form of magic rituals, trances, incantations, and drugs. They have devoted their lives to alchemy in search of the philosopher's stone, the elusive substance that transforms all matter into gold. This hunger for the magical shortcut has survived to our day in the form of simple formulas for success, ancient secret finally revealed in which a mere change of attitude will attract the right energy. There's a grain of truth and practicality in all this effort. For instance, the emphasis in magic on deep focus. But in the end, all of this searching is centered on something that doesn't exist. The effortless path to practical power, the quick and easy evolution, the El Dorado of the mind. I love that word, the El Dorado of the mind. At the same time, that so many people lose themselves in these endless fantasies. They ignore the one real power that they actually possess. And unlike magic or simplistic formulas, we can see the material effect of this power in history. The great discoveries and inventions, the magnificent buildings and works of art, the technological prowess we possess, all works of the masterful mind. This power brings to those who possess it the kind of connections to reality and the ability to alter the world that the mystics and magicians of the past could only dream of. Hmm. Over the centuries, people have placed a wall around such mastery. They have called it genius and have thought of it as inaccessible. They have seen it as the product of privilege, inborn talent, or just the right alignment of the stars. They have made it seem as if it were as elusive as magic, but that wall is imaginary. This is the real secret. The brain that we possess is the work of 6 million years of development. And more than anything else, this evolution of the brain was designed to lead us to mastery, the latent power within us. Isn't this powerful? If you want to become the master of anything in this world, be you a writer, a musician, an athlete, whatever you do in your life or professionally, if you want to become the master of it, trust me, go grab yourself a copy of this book, Mastery. There's a lot in it. There's a lot in it. Now, before one another interesting thing about this book is that at the beginning of every chapter, there's a quote at the beginning of every chapter, and not those random quotes that you have come across several times. These are very powerful quotes. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to open every chapter and read out just the quotes that will make you think twice, the quotes that will make you reflect on your life, be it your professional life or your personal life. These quotes are so powerful that when you are able to copy them somewhere and read them every single day, they will help push you every day. They will help push you to achieve your goals. No matter how difficult your goal or your work is, when you are able to read this quote out every day, they are going to help you push through. Now, the evolution of mastery. And listen to this quote very carefully by Richard Leakey. For 3 million years, we were hunter gatherers, and it was through the evolutionary process of that way of life that a brain so adaptable and creative eventually emerged. Today, we stand with the brains of hunter gatherers in our head. Wow, that was so powerful. Now, let me read you some other quotes. And this is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. A man should learn to detect and watch that gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within. More than the luster of the firmament of hands and sages, yet he dismisses without notice his thought because it is his. In every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. They come back to us with a certain alienated majesty. Another powerful quote right there. Are you guys enjoying this video? Alright, so if you have anything to say, please subscribe to my channel on the subscribe button and leave a comment. If there's anything that you would like me to do on this channel, please don't waste time, just subscribe right now and leave me a comment. Or if you want to talk to me privately, click on my you will get my contact on the channel. Just send me a message. Thank you very much. And then let's continue. Yes, this is another powerful quote. And listen very carefully. This quote is by Friedrich Nietzsche. Wow, some of the names are so difficult for me to pronounce. Some of the names are not English names. I'm sorry about that. Okay, listen. Do not talk about giftedness, inborn talent. One can name great men of all kinds who were very little gifted. They acquired greatness, became geniuses, as we put it, through qualities the lack of which no one who knew what they were would boast of. They all possess that seriousness of the efficient workman which first learns to construct the parts properly before it ventures to fashion a great whole. Wow, I love it. They allow themselves time for it because they took more pleasure in making the little secondary things well done in the effect of a dazzling whole. This is damn powerful. Trust me. Now, we are in chapter 1. So I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm just going to read the introduction of the chapter, because in every chapter he writes an introduction, a very powerful introduction that will encourage you to read the whole chapter. And after reading the introduction of the chapter, I'm going to go through the chapters and then bring out some powerful quotes, very interesting quotes. Now, the first chapter, discover your calling, the life's task. You possess a kind of inner force that seeks to guide you toward your life's task, what you are meant to accomplish in the time that you have to live. In childhood, this force was clear to you. It directed you toward activities and subjects that fit your natural inclinations, that sparked a curiosity that was deep and primal. In the intervening years, the force tends to fade in and out as you listen more to parents and peers, to the daily anxieties that wear away at you. This can be the source of your unhappiness, your lack of connection to who you are and what makes you unique. The first move toward mastery is always inward, learning who you really are and reconnecting with that innate force. Wow. Knowing it with clarity, you will find your way to the proper career path and everything else will fall into place. It is never too late to start this process. Trust me, whatever job that you do, whatever business that you do, whatever profession that you have, if you want to become the go-to person in this field, in any field at all that you find yourself, if you read this book Mastery, you will become one of the top players in your field. Trust me. Now, let's go through some of the quotes. I'm really enjoying this, man. Okay, the first quote that I found very interesting is by Jose Ortega Y Gazette. Wow, what a beautiful name. And listen to the quote, and it says this: among his various possible beings, each man always finds one which is his genuine and authentic being. The voice which calls him to that authentic being is what we call vocation. But the majority of men devote themselves to silencing that voice of the vocation and refusing to hear it. They manage to make a noise within themselves to distract their own attention in order not to hear it. And they defraud themselves by substituting for their genuine self a false cause of life. Wow. This is damn powerful, man. Are you guys not enjoying the quotes? Now, here's another very beautiful quote by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. What a name! Damn! And this one is under strategies for finding your life's task. Listen to the quote very carefully. It's very powerful. This is your boy Saeed. Welcome to my channel. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to check out my channel. And before you leave, don't forget to subscribe at the subscribe button on your left. And if you have any suggestion or any comment, don't forget to leave a comment. So today we are going to continue our discussion on the book Mastery. The other time I was reading some quotes, and today I'm going to read a lot of quotes out to you. Quotes that are very powerful, very motivational and inspiring. And by the time I finish reading these quotes, man, you will be so happy to have come across this channel and to have learned about the book Mastery by Robert Greene. Now, I'm not going to waste much time today. I'm just going to open a quote and read it out to you. Okay, so please, this book, you can get this book on Amazon.com. It doesn't cost that much. It's less than $20, and you can get a used one at less than $10. It's up to you. If you want a new one, you can get it at a cheaper price, and if you want a used one, you can get it at a very, very lower price. So now there's a quote here that I really want to read out to you. Now, before I read any quote, I told you the other time that I'm going to be reading the introduction of each chapter, so that you have an idea of what the chapter is all about. And after that, I'm going to read out the quote to you from each chapter. So now we are going to start with chapter 2, submit to reality, the ideal apprenticeship. And this is what Robert Greene has to say here. After your formal education, you enter the most critical phase in your life, a second practical education known as the apprenticeship. Every time you change careers or acquire new skills, you re-enter this phase of life. The dangers are many. If you are not careful, you will succumb to insecurities, become embroiled in emotional issues and conflicts that will dominate your thoughts. You will develop fears and learning disabilities that you will carry with you throughout your life. Before it is too late, you must learn the lessons and follow the path established by the greatest masters, past and present, a kind of ideal apprenticeship that transcends all fields. In the process, you will master the necessary skills, discipline your mind, and transform yourself into an independent thinker, prepared for the creative challenges on the way to mastery. Hmm, this is powerful. Man, just look, there's there's no there's nothing much I can say about this book. It's just very important for every person. This should be a Bible or a Quran that is present in every household in the world. If you get this book, you will never regret it. Listen to this quote by Leonardo da Vinci. One can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery of oneself. Isn't this powerful? Man, you should get this book. Trust me. Now, let me also give you another quote, real quick. Here's another quote by Marcus Aurelius. Do not think that what is hard for you to master is humanly impossible. And if it is humanly possible, consider it to be within your reach. Wow, amazing, very powerful, and very inspiring. Uh, Hold on a second. I'm trying to come up with another powerful quote here that you are going to enjoy so much. Well, section 2 seems not to have a lot of quotes. I'm almost at the end of section 2 right now, but I only got a very few quotes, but that's not a problem. There's another one at the end of section 2. Listen very carefully, and this one is by a Zen master called Hakuin. It's like chopping down a huge tree of immense girth. You won't accomplish it with one swing of your axe. If you keep chopping away at it, though, and do not let up, eventually, whether it wants to or not, it will suddenly topple down. When that time comes, you could round up everyone you could find and pay them to hold the tree up, but they wouldn't be able to do it. It would still come crashing to the ground. But if the woodcutter stopped after one or two strokes of his axe to ask the third son of Mr. Chan, why doesn't this tree fall? And after three or four more strokes stopped again to ask the fourth son of Mr. Lee, why doesn't this tree fall? He will never succeed in felling the tree. It's no different for someone who is practicing the way. Wow, this is so deep. Now let's go to section 3. Listen very carefully. Absorb the master's power, the mental dynamic. And this is what Robert Greene has to say in this section. Life is short, and your time for learning and creativity is limited. Without any guidance, you can waste valuable years trying to gain knowledge and practice from various sources. Instead, you must follow the examples set by masters throughout the ages and find the proper mentor. The mentor protege relationship is the most efficient and productive form of learning. The right mentors know where to focus your attention and how to challenge you. Their knowledge and experience become yours. They provide immediate and realistic feedback on your work so you can improve more rapidly. Through an intense person to person interaction, you absorb a way of thinking that contains great power and can be adapted to your individual spirit. Choose the mentor who best fits your needs and connects to your life's task. Once you have once you have internalized their knowledge, you must move on and never remain in their shadow. Your goal is always to absorb your mentors in mastery and brilliance. Damn, I love this part. Trust me, I I love it. And the first time I opened this section, I made sure I finished reading it at one sitting. Can you believe that? That means a lot. It means a lot. Now listen to another very interesting quote that I found in this section. And this quote is by Johann Peter Eckermann, Conversation with Goethe. I think he got this quote from a book called Conversations with Goethe by the author John Peter Eckermann. Eckermann. Wow, what a name. And this is what he has to say. It, at table, the ladies praised a portrait of a young painter. What is most surprising, they added, he has learned everything by himself. This could be seen particularly in the hands, which were not correctly and artistically drawn. We see, said Goethe, that the young man has talent. The young man has talent. However, you should not praise, but rather blame him for learning everything by himself. A man of talent is not born to be left to himself, but to devote himself to art and good masters who will make something of him. Hmm. This is powerful. Trust me. Wow. There's another wonderful quote that I found in this section, and this one is very short, and it is written by Frederick Nietzsche. Wow. One repays a teacher badly if one remains only a pupil. Hmm. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. In this section, I also came across one very wonderful quote that I think you will love. You will love it so much. Just listen very carefully. And this one is also at the beginning of section 3, and it is by Michael Polanyi. To learn by example is to submit to authority. You follow your master because you trust his manner of doing things, even when you cannot analyze and account in details for its effectiveness. By watching the master and emulating his efforts, the apprentice consciously picks up the rules of the art, including those which are not explicitly known to the master himself. Wow. And that brings us to the end of section 3. Now, we are now in section 4. This is another very powerful section that I think you will love so much. And this is the title of the section 4. See people as they are. Social intelligence. This section simply talks about how to relate with people in every field of life. And this is what Mr. Greene has to say. Often, the greatest obstacle to our pursuit of mastery comes from the emotional drain we experience in dealing with the resistance and the manipulations of the people around us. If we are not careful, our minds become absorbed in endless political intrigues and battles. The principal problem we face in the social arena is our naive tendency to project onto people our emotional needs and desires of the moment. We misread their intentions and react in ways that cause confusion or conflict. Social intelligence is the ability to see people in the most realistic light possible. By moving past our usual self-absorption, we can learn to focus deeply in others, reading their behavior in the moment, seeing what motivates them, and discerning any possible manipulative tendencies. Excuse me. Negating smoothly, navigating smoothly the social environment, we have more time and energy to focus on learning and acquiring skills. Success attained without this intelligence is not true mastery and will not last. This is deep. This is deep and very profound. Wow. Thinking inside. This is another very interesting section that we love. Look, in a nutshell, this book is a must-have for anyone who is serious about his or her either professional life or personal life. Listen to another very interesting quote by Arthur. Wow, by Mr. Arthur. Man, I can't pronounce the second name. It's so difficult. Okay, listen. This is what the author has to say. You must allow everyone the right to exist in accordance with the character he has, whatever it turns out to be, and all you should And all you should strive to do is to make use of this character in such a way as its kind of nature permits, rather than to hope for any alteration in it or to condemn it offhand for what it is. This is the true sense of the maxim live and let live. Live and let live. To become indignant at people's conduct is as foolish as to be angry with a stone because it rolls into your path. And with many people, the wisest thing you can do is to resolve to make use of those whom you cannot alter. Wow. This simple tells that you can never change people. You just have to accept everyone as they are and move on with your life. Let them live their life and live your life too. And live your life too. As simple as that. You can't control anybody. Now, getting to the end of the sections, I mean, in the middle of the section 4, there's another wonderful quote by Charles Darwin. And listen, this is what Mr. Darwin has to say. We must, however, acknowledge that man, with all his noble qualities, with sympathy which feels for the most debased, with benevolence which extends not only to other men but to the humblest living creature, with his godlike intellect, which which has penetrated into the movements and constitution of the solar system. With all these exalted powers, man still bears in his bodily frame the indelible stamp of his lovely origin. Wow, beautiful, beautiful. So, okay. Now, towards the end of this section, I came across a very beautiful quote that really touched my heart. And I took note of that quote and made sure I memorized it. And it's one of my go-to quotes when I'm going through hard times. Listen, and this one is found at the end of section 4. And listen, and this one is by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Wow, this name is very powerful. And listen, it is a great folly to hope that other men will harmonize with us. I have never hoped this. I have always regarded each man as an independent individual whom I endeavor to understand with all his peculiarities, but from whom I desire no further sympathy. In this way, in this way have I been enabled to converse with every man, and thus alone is produced the knowledge of various characters and the dexterity necessary for the conduct of life. Hmm. And that brings us to the end of section 4. Now, the next section is section 5, and this is what section 5 talks about: awaken the dimensional mind, the creative active. Awaken the dimensional mind, the creative active. And listen very carefully to this. The introduction of this section is very interesting, and I think you will enjoy it. As you accumulate more skills and internalize the rules that govern your field, your mind will want to become more active, seeking to use this knowledge in ways that are more suited to your inclinations. What will impede this natural creative dynamic from flourishing is not a lack of talent, but your attitude. Feeling anxious and insecure, you will tend to turn conservative with your knowledge, preferring to fit into the group and sticking to the procedures you have learned. Instead, you must force yourself in the opposite direction. As you emerge from your apprenticeship, you must become increasingly bold instead of feeling complacent about what you know. You must expand your knowledge to related fields, giving your mind fuel to make new associations between different ideas. You must experiment and look at problems from all possible angles. As your thinking grows more fluid, your mind will become increasingly dimensional, seeing more and more aspects of reality. In the end, you will turn against the very rules you have internalized, shaping and reforming them to suit your spirit. Such originality will bring you to the heights of power. Man, this section is very powerful. Trust me, you will never regret reading this section. And if you don't take time, you are going to read it several times because it contains a lot of gems. I mean, lots and lots of gems. Listen, there's another quote here in section 5 by John Keats. Several things dovetailed in my mind, and at once it struck me. What quality went to form a man of achievement, especially in literature, and which Shakespeare possessed so enormously? I mean, negative capability. That that is when man is capable of being in uncertainties, mysteries, doubts, without any irritable reaching after fact and reason. Hmm. This one sounds more like poetry, like poem, but all the same, it's a very interesting quote. Now, this section also has another very powerful quote that really touched me the first time I read it, and I think you are going to be touched by it when you come across it. So please, you can get this book Mastery on Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon.com and type the name either Robert Greene or Mastery by Robert Greene. If you type Robert Greene, it will bring you a list of all the books written by Robert Greene. And apart from Mastery, you can also decide to buy any of his books. You will love it. He is a very wonderful writer. I think I'm also learning how to write like him, but it's not easy. Okay, this section seems to be very long and it contains very, very interesting topics that will help you master any skill at all in your life, in your in your professional life, so that you become one of the big boys in whatever you do in your life. Okay, section 4, section 5 is almost getting to an end, and there's another very powerful quote at the end, and this one is by Marcel Proust. And listen carefully to what Mr. Proust has to say. Our vanity, our passions, our spirit of imitation, our abstract intelligence, our habits have long been at work, and it is the task of art to undo this work of theirs, making us travel back in the direction from which we have come to the depth where what has really existed lies unknown within us. And this brings us to the end of section 5. Now, let's move on to section 6. Section 6, this is the title of section 6. Fuse the intuitive with the rational. Fuse, that means put together the intuitive with the rational. Mastery. And this is the introduction. All of us have access to a higher form of intelligence, one that can allow us to see more of the world, to anticipate trends, to respond with speed and accuracy to any circumstance. This intelligence is cultivated by deeply immersing ourselves in a field of study and staying true to our inclinations, no matter how unconventional our approach might seem to others. Through such intense immersion over many years, we come to internalize and gain an intuitive feel for the complicated components of our field. When we fuse this intuitive feel with rational processes, we expand our minds to the outer limits of our potential and are able to see into the secret core of life itself. We then come to have powers that approximate the instinctive force and speed of animals, but with the added reach that our human consciousness brings us. This power is what our brains were designed to attain, and we will be naturally led to this type of intelligence if we follow our inclinations to their ultimate ends. Wow, this section is very powerful. Very powerful. I hope you guys are enjoying this. You are enjoying this video. I'm not here to waste your time. I'm simply telling you and trying to encourage you to get a book. If you really want, if you really want your life to turn around positively before the end of this year, this is one of the books you should read. I know there are lots of books, lots of powerful books, but make sure you add this book to your collection, and you will never regret it. Now, there's another very powerful quote here that I came across in section 6, and this one is by Chuang Tzu. Wow. And he's an ancient Chinese writer. Wow. He even wrote books before the birth of Jesus Christ. Can you imagine that? Wow, Mr. Greene is a very powerful writer. He took his time to conduct very powerful research before putting out this book. I respect him. Now listen to this quote by Mr. Chuang Tzu. He says, Cook Thing was cutting up an ox for Lord Wenhu. Wow. Ha! This is marvelous, said Lord Wenhu. Imagine skill reaching such heights. Cook Thing laid down his knife and replied, What I care about is the way, which goes beyond skill. When I first began cutting up oxen, all I could see was the ox itself. After 3 years, I no longer saw the whole ox. And now I go at it by spirit and don't look with my eyes. Perception and understanding have come to a stop, and spirit moves where it wants. Wow, this quote is very powerful. Yeah, this one, and the quote is found just a few pages after the, the introduction. Now, there's another very powerful quote that I really enjoyed in this section. And this one is written by Albert Einstein. You know, we all know Albert Einstein. And those of you who have been to high school, you know, he's one of the most popular brains that we all heard about in school. And now listen to this quote by Mr. Albert Einstein. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Wow, this quote needs to be read several times. It's very powerful and very spiritual. Now, there's another powerful quote here in this section, and I think you will love it as much as I loved it when I first came across it. Okay, yes, and it's somewhere almost at the end of the section 6. Yes, let me see. I'm almost getting to the end. Wow, this book is a gem, man. I never regretted buying it. Yes, just at the end of section 6, and it's a very very long quote. Now listen very carefully. Because we think well of ourselves, but nonetheless never suppose ourselves capable of producing a painting like one of Raphael's or a dramatic scene like one of Shakespeare's, we convince ourselves that the capacity to do so is quite extraordinarily marvelous, a wholly uncommon accident, or if we are still religiously inclined, a mercy from on high. Thus, our vanity, our self-love, promotes the cult of the genius, for only if we think of him as being very remote from us, as a miraculum, does he not aggrieve us. But aside from these suggestions of our vanity, the activity of the genius seems no way fundamentally different from the activity of the inventor of machines, the scholar of astronomy or history, the master of tactics. All these activities are explicable if one pictures to oneself people whose thinking is active in one direction, who employ everything as material, who always zealously observe their own inner life and that of others, who perceive everywhere models and incentives, who never tire of combining together the means available to them. Genius, too, does nothing but learn first how to lay bricks, then how to build, and continually seek for material and continually form itself around it. Every activity of man is amazingly complicated. Not only that of the genius, but none is a miracle, which means what the past leaders and great thinkers can do if we take the time to learn and practice whatever field we find ourselves in, we can do more or even greater than them. They laid out, they started it all. We can follow their paths. And wow. And somewhere towards the end of the book, there's another section called Contemporary Master Biographies. And in that section, Mr. Robert Greene uh, has a list of masters, great thinkers, and wrote some few paragraphs about them. So I'm going to read them one by one. And that is somewhere almost at the end of the book, Master. So let's start with Santiago Calatrava. He was born in 1951 in Valencia, Spain. He earned his architecture degree from the Polytechnic University of Valencia and then went on to obtain a PhD in civil engineering from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich, that's in Switzerland. Because of his civil engineering background, Calatrava has focused primarily on large-scale public projects such as bridges, train stations, museums, cultural centers, and sports complexes. Inspired by organic shapes in nature, Calatrava has sought to infuse these public projects with a mighty yet futuristic quality, featuring parts of buildings that move and change shape. Among his notable designers are BCE Place Galleria in Toronto, Canada, that was constructed in 1992, Orient Railway Station in Lisbon, Portugal, 1998, the extension to the Milwaukee Art Museum, that is in 2001 in the United States, the Pen de la Mujer, wow, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, that is 2001, Auditorio de, wow, that one is in what, Canary Island, 2003, the Athens Olympic Sports Complex, 2004, the Turning Torso Tower in Malamo, Sweden, 2005, and the Light Railway Bridge in Jerusalem, in Israel, in 2008. He is currently designing the transportation hub at the World Trade Center in New York City, expected to open in 2014. Calatrava is also a renowned sculptor whose work has been shown in galleries all around the world. Among his numerous awards, he has received the gold medal from the Institution of Structural Engineers in 1992 and the gold medal from the American Institute of Architects in 2005. He's one of the great thinkers. And the next person is Daniel Everett. He was born in 1951 in Holtville, in California, United States of America. He received a degree in foreign missions from the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago and became an ordained minister. After studying linguistics at the Summer Institute of Languages, a Christian organization, Everett and his family were sent as missionaries to the Amazon basin to live with a small group of hunter and gatherers known as the Piraha, whose language is not related to any other living dialect. After spending many years among the Piraha, Everett was finally able to crack the code of their seemingly in, indecipherable language and in the process made some discoveries about the nature of human language that continue to stir controversy in linguistics. He has also conducted research and published articles on more than a dozen distinct Amazonian languages. Everett has a PhD in linguistics from the State University of Campinas in Brazil. He served as professor of linguistics and anthropology at the University of Pittsburgh, where he has also chairman where he was also chairman of the Department of Linguistics. He has also taught at the University of Manchester, England, and Illinois State University. Everett is currently the Dean of Arts and Sciences at Bentley University. He has published two books, the best-selling Don't Sleep, There Are Snakes, Life and Language in the Amazonia Jungle, that was published in 2008, and Language, the Cultural Tool in 2012. His work with the Piraha is the subject of a documentary, The Grammar of Happiness, in 2012. The next person Teresita Fernandez. He was born in 1968 in Miami, Florida. She, this one is a woman, she received a BFA from Florida International University and her MFA from Virginia Commonwealth University. Fernandez is a conceptual artist who is best known for her public sculptures and for her large-scale pieces in unconventional materials. In her work, she likes to explore how psychology impacts our perception of the world around us. For this purpose, she creates immersive environments that challenge our environmental views of art and nature. Her work has been exhibited in prominent museums around the world, including the Museum of Modern Art in New York, the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, and the Coronary Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. Her large-scale commissions include a recent site-specific work titled Blind Blue Landscape at the renowned Venice Art Site in Naoshima, Japan. Fernandez has received numerous awards, including a Guggen Fellowship, an American Academy in Rome affiliated fellowship, and a National Endowment for the Arts Artist Grant. In 2005, she was awarded a MacArthur Foundation Fellowship, also known as the Genius Grant. In 2011, President Barack Obama appointed Fernandez to serve on the U.S. Commission on Fine Arts. Wow, what an accomplishment by a woman. Now the next person, Paul Graham. He was born in 1964 in Weymouth, England. His family moved to the United States when he was 4, and he was raised in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Graham obtained a BA in philosophy from Cornell University and a PhD in computer science from Harvard University. He studied painting at the Rhode Island School of Design and the Accademia di Belle Arti in Florence, Italy. In 1995, he co-founded ViaWeb, the first application service provider that allowed users to set up their own internet store after Yahoo acquired ViaWeb for close to $50 million and renamed it Yahoo Store. Graham went on to write a highly popular series of online essays about programming, tech startups, the history of technology and art. Inspired by the reaction to talk he gave by the reaction to talk by the reaction to a talk he gave at the Harvard Computer Society in 2005, Graham created Y Combinator, an apprenticeship system that provides seed funding, advice, mentorship to young tech entrepreneurs. It has since become one of the most successful tech incubators in the world. Its portfolio of over 200 companies is currently worth more than $4 billion and includes Dropbox, Reddit, Loop, and Airbnb. He has published 2 books on Lisp 1993 about the computer programming language and Hackers and Painters in 2004. His online essays can be viewed at paulgraham.com. Wow, I love this man. He's a very big thinker, and I really would like to follow in his footsteps. Yeah, because I'm a tech guy too. Now the next person, Temple Grandin. He was born in 1947 in Boston, Massachusetts. At the age of 3, now this one we are talking about a woman. At the age of 3, she was diagnosed with autism. Through special mentoring and work with a speech therapist, she slowly mastered the language skills that allowed her to develop intellectually and to attend various schools, including a high school for gifted children, where she excelled in science. Grandin went on to receive a bachelor's degree in psychology from Franklin Pierce College, a master's degree in animal science from Arizona State University, and a doctorate in animal science from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. After graduation, she worked as a designer of livestock handling of livestock handling facilities. Half the cattle in the United States are handled by equipment she has designed. Her work in this area is devoted to making more humane, stress-free environment for animals in slaughterhouses. For this purpose, she has created a series of guidelines for handling cattle and pigs at meat plants that are now used by companies such as McDonald's. Grandin has become a popular lecturer on animal rights and on autism. She has written several best-selling books, including Thinking in Pictures, My Life with Autism, that was published in 1996, Animals in Translation, Using the Mysteries of Autism to Decode Animal Behavior, that one was released in 2005, and The Way I See It, a personal look at autism and Asperger's, that one was published in 2009. And in 2010, she was the subject of an HBO biopic about her life titled Temple Grandin. She is currently a professor of animal science at Colorado State University. Wow, wow. I have a very big respect for this man, for this woman, sorry. Despite her handicap, she was able to achieve a lot. Now, let's go to the next person. Yoki Matsuoka. And Yoki Matsuoka was born in 1972 in Tokyo, Japan. A promising young tennis player, Matsuoka came to the United States to attend a high-level tennis academy. She ended up staying, completing her high school studies in the States, and then attending the University of California at Berkeley, where she received a BS in electrical engineering and computer science. She received a PhD in electrical engineering and artificial intelligence from MIT. While at MIT, she was the chief engineer at Barrett Technology, where she developed a robotic hand that became an industry standard. She has served as a professor of robotics and mechanical engineering at Carnegie Mellon University and professor of computer science and engineering at the University of Washington at Seattle. At the University of Washington, Matsuoka created a new field which she called neo- neurobotics and established the university's neurobotics laboratory, where robotic models and virtual environments are used to understand the biomechanics and neuromuscular control of human limbs. In 2007, Matsuoka was awarded a MacArthur Foundation Fellowship or Genius Grant. She was a co-founder of Google's X Division, where she served as head of innovation. Matsuoka is currently the vice president of technology at Nest Labs, a green technology firm that develops energy efficient consumer products such as the Nest Learning thermostat. Wow, I have a big respect for this woman too. I'm so surprised that women, a lot of women have also achieved big things in this world, but people rarely talk about them. So I like the fact that Mr. Robert Greene brought them in this book. Et Vilano, on a déjà fait combien de mots? Non, je peux supprimer tout ça.
Ah, puis tu me dis pas depuis là.
Oui, je peux supprimer tout ça parce qu'il edit hier, so je vais enlever quelques parties qui sont mauvaises.
On a fait 41 minutes.
Ah,
Depuis là, je te dis de dire liker la page.
okay. All right. So, uh, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment. If you have any suggestion for me, please don't forget to leave a comment. I'll really love to hear from you. And if there's another book that you really want me to talk about, or if there's a special book that you really want to read, don't forget to let me know. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.